what's up? Welcome back to Unit 3. So today we're doing 3.3, which has to deal with something called perpendicular lines. So in 3.2, you guys talked about parallel, meaning they'll never touch. Perpendicular lines means they're gonna touch, but at a 90-degree angle. We're gonna jump into that, look at some examples, and we're gonna do some work with perpendicular lines. Let's jump into it. All right, so the key points that we want to talk about here is perpendicular. I want you guys to remember this because I'm going to have a lot of people throughout the whole year, whenever I say the word perpendicular, they're going to be like, what does that mean, Coach Snow? Perpendicular means 90-degree angle. They intersect at 90 degrees. So for instance, if I drew a line going this way, another line is going to be drawn going this way, and they're going to make a perfect cross, which means every single one of these angles here is going to be 90 degrees. So that's 90, that's 90, that's 90, and that is 90 degrees, okay? So they meet at perfect 90-degree angles, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is exactly what I mean by slope. What does the slope look like? So they have opposite reciprocal slopes. And what that means is the word opposite means the signs are different. So if the first slope is positive, the next one's going to be negative. And then reciprocal means the slope is flipped. So for instance, if I have a slope of 2/3, right now that is a positive 2/3. So opposite means change the sign, so negative. Reciprocal means flip the fraction. I'm going to flip this, 3/2. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, 2/3 and -3/2 would be opposite reciprocals of each other, which means they are perpendicular slopes. Meaning if I was to draw the line and when they cross, they're going to meet at an exact 90-degree angle. So again, change the sign and flip the fraction, okay? The two formulas that you're going to be using through this, you're going to be using slope-intercept form, and you're going to be using point-slope form to help you find answers as we go along, okay? Let's jump over to example number 1 and let's put these into use. All right, so look at example number 1. It wants you to write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals 3x plus 5 and pass through the point 3, -2. Okay, so it wants you to create that perpendicular line. So that means the first thing I need to do is figure out my slope of my perpendicular line. So my equation is y equals 3x plus 5 is what they're giving me, okay? So if I write slope-intercept form next to that, y equals mx plus b, I want y'all to look right here. I'm going to do a different color so y'all can see it. The 3 is in place of the m. So that means the slope of this line is going to equal 3. Now I need to do the perpendicular one of that. So if I wrote this as a fraction, it would be 3/1. So in the key points we talked about, opposite reciprocal. So I'm going to take the opposite of this. So since this is positive, the new one is going to be negative, right? Reciprocal means I'm going to flip the fraction. So I'm going to flip 3/1, and that's going to be 1/3. So ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be your perpendicular slope you're going to use, okay? So now I'm going to create the equation by using point-slope form because I have a point and I have the slope. I'm going to plug them in and figure out what my equation is. So this is my formula here, and I'm going to kind of cut this so we can see it. So y minus y1 is going to be equal to your slope multiplied by x minus x1, okay? And basically, y1 and x1 are your x and y coordinates. So now I just need to plug it in, okay? All right, so right now, y minus y1. So my y coordinate's -2. So I'm doing y minus -2, right? Is going to be equal to, my slope here is -1/3, x minus my x1, which is going to end up giving me 3 here, okay? So now I just need to simplify. So right now, if we look, my double negative here is going to turn into plus. So that's going to be y plus 2. I'm going to distribute my 1/3. So it's going to become -1/3 x, 1/3 of -3. Negative times a negative is a positive. 3 divided by 3 is actually going to end up giving you 1. Okay? And then now all I have to do is subtract 2 on both sides. So y is equal to -1/3 x. And right here, if you look here, 1 minus 2 is going to give you -1. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the equation that is going to be perpendicular to 3, opposite reciprocals, and it's going to run through the point 3, -2. And I'll actually plug in a graph right here. And that graph shows you that it went through both those points and it's perpendicular, so y'all can see it. Okay? Let's jump over to example number 2. All right, guys, look at example number 2. It wants you to write the equation and graph a line that is perpendicular to y equals 3/4 x minus 1 and passes through the point M. So right now, just go ahead and look. Point M is going to be -3, -2. So that's going to be my point I need. So the first thing I need to grab is I need to grab my perpendicular slope. So right now, my regular slope is going to be 3/4, right? So to find my perpendicular slope, I have to take the opposite reciprocal, meaning I'm going to take the opposite sign. This is positive, so negative, and I'm going to flip it, so 4/3. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be your opposite or your perpendicular slope to your new line. It has to run through the point M. So right now, if I want to graph this, I'm already given my point. So now I can go ahead and graph it, but we're going to write the equation of it here in a second, okay? So with that being said, that means I can choose the negative on either side. So I'm going to put the negative on top. So that means I'm going down 4 to the right 3. Down 4 to the right 3. So from M, I'm going to go down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, is your point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So right there is your other point, okay? I'm actually going to switch it too. So I'm going to go up 4, go the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So right now, if I go ahead and try and draw this graph here, ladies and gentlemen, this is what your line would actually look like. I'm going to do my best to go through these points as best I can. I'm not the best drawer. There we go. Boom. So that is what your line would end up looking like, okay? And so now my equation from that, if I wanted to find my equation, I'm actually going to put it in point slope form like we did earlier, okay? So let's do that. You can find somewhere to the right or in the middle, wherever you can find room to do this, okay? So y minus y1 is equal to your slope, and then x minus x1 is going to be your formula, okay? So your point that you had earlier on M was -3, -2, right? That's your x and y coordinates. There we go. So y minus y1, which is -2. My slope is going to be -4/3. And then your x1 is going to be -3. All right. So look, double negative here is going to turn to plus. So that's going to be y plus 2 equals. And then right here, this is going to be a double as well, so it's going to turn into plus. So I'm going to distribute that. So it's going to be -4/3 x, because I'm multiplying there. 3 times 4 is going to end up giving you 12. 12 divided by 3 is going to end up giving you 4. So negative times a positive is going to give you -4 here, okay? Then I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. So y is going to be equal to -4/3 x minus 6. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the equation that is perpendicular to my slopes here. And then it's going to actually run through the point -3, -2, which is written there. And if you look, my y-intercept is -6. Look, -6 right there. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the equation that is perpendicular to that line. Okay? Let's jump over to example number 3. All right, so now example number 3, it says we need to write the equation and graph the line that is perpendicular to the line graphed and passes through point C. So right now, point C, it shows G on your thing here, but go ahead and we're using this point right here as the point we're using, okay? All right, so the first thing I need to find is I need to find the slope of my line that is graphed here. So I know it is rise over run. So I can go ahead and just look at the graph and figure out what it is. So right here from this point to this point, I'm going over 1, 2, 3. I'm going up 1. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going up 1. So remember, rise over run. So that means the slope of this line is going to equal 1/3. Correct? So now if I want to do my perpendicular slope, I have to take the opposite reciprocal. That means change the sign. It's positive. I'm going to make it negative. And the reciprocal means I'm going to flip it. So I'm going to flip 1 over 3, which is going to be 3 over 1, which is going to come out to be 3 divided by 1 is 3. So that means the slope of my new line is going to be -3. Okay? So now using that info, I'm actually going to take this. I'm given point G, which it says C, but I want you to make it G here. G is going to be -3, +2. So -3, +2. And I'm going to plug this into point slope form and figure out my equation, and then I can graph it here. Okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get the equation. So y minus y1 equals your slope, and then x minus x1. Okay? My x1, my y1. So y minus 2 equals, my slope is -3. Then x minus my x1 is -3. Remember, you're plugging in that -3. Okay? So right now we have a double negative here, subtracting a negative, which will turn to plus. I have to distribute my -3. So that's going to come out to be -3x minus 9. And then I'm going to add 2 on both sides. So I'm going to get y equals -3x minus 7. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, would be your equation. And we could actually graph that, and you'll notice it's going to be perpendicular. Okay, so with that being said, my y-intercept is -7, so I'm going to go all the way down to -7. And then it looks like -3 over 1, so that means I'm going down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. Or I could flip it. I'm going left 1, up 3, left 1, up 3. So I'm going to do that. So left 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3, point. Left 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3, point. Left 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3. Hey, it went through that point. Left 1, 1, 2, 3. Left 1, 1, 2, and then the other one's not there. So let me go and erase these extra points that I actually did. And then I'm going to do my best to go ahead and draw this line so you guys can see. So if I actually draw this line going here, look at that. It's a perfect perpendicular 90-degree angle right here, and it's going through my point C here, all based off of everything that I just showed you. Okay? Let's jump over to example, or the challenge question. All right, guys, so remember, your challenge question in the bottom right here is to be used as a gauging point if you are ready to move on to the skill check. If you cannot do this challenge question on your own, you need to call me over to help you out and try and figure out what you don't understand, or you need to go work on some of the extra practice that I have, whether it's Blue-Kit, whether it's your Gim Kit, whether it's quizzes, anything of that sort to help you kind of learn a little bit better. Okay? If you can do this on your own, go ahead and jump over to the skill check, and good luck with that. Holler at me if you need any help.